how do we address the unconscious parts of ourselves? The aspects of ourselves that we've rejected or repressed, the troubling parts, the ugly parts. This is what many people have called shadow work, and that is shining our awareness on the parts of ourselves that we have rejected. And you see, so long as these rejected parts are allowed to continue on without being addressed, then we will have this monster inside of us, this kind of Frankenstein that is all of the different pieces and parts of ourselves that we've left behind. And what this monster will do is it will continuously sabotage our life, and it will seek to destroy us, and it will have a life of its own, and in the shadows it will cause mayhem in our life. And so you see, this is not something that can be allowed to go unaddressed. And one of the biggest indicators that we have rejected parts of ourselves comes in the form of negative thoughts. And so you see, if we are having constant negative thoughts, they will often revolve around a certain pattern. There will be a theme to them, and in that theme will be the message of the underlying parts of ourselves that we have rejected or repressed. Because all thoughts arise from the unconscious mind, and our unconscious mind is the intelligence of our body. And so we must understand that throughout our life, our body is always communicating with our brain and with the world around us. It is comparing our feelings to the thoughts or the images that arise in our mind. And it does this so it can keep us alive, because the body's only job is survival. And so if we have a traumatic experience, whatever images are associated with that extreme negative feeling, that information is going to be stored in our bodies. And the next time when our brains and body communicate, that information that was stored will manifest in the form of negative thoughts. And it may just be a replay of the negative traumatizing experience. And then we are forced to relive that experience again, because our minds can't tell the difference between what is the external world and the internal. And so if you are having constant negative thoughts, that means the body is trying to communicate something to you. It's like a check engine light. They're only there to reveal an underlying problem. But you see, what most people do is that they become afraid of the thoughts because they don't understand the thoughts. And so the message gets lost. And so instead of fighting the mind, instead of fighting the thoughts and resisting in fear, what we must do is reframe our perspective to understand that these thoughts are just messages from our body, and it's trying to help us. It's trying to help us understand an underlying problem that needs to be addressed. And so instead of being afraid of the thoughts, listen to what they are trying to tell you. Decipher the message. Because we communicate to our bodies through the language of feeling, and our body communicates to us in the language of symbols, images, and patterns. It's the same as in the dream state. All of our dreams have a deeper meaning, but because they are presented to us in a primitive form of patterns and symbols, most of the time they make no sense to us whatsoever. But you will find that if you begin writing down your dreams and reflecting on the patterns that emerge, then you will be able to understand the messages that the body is trying to convey. And so if you are having repetitive dreams, that is also the body trying to tell you a specific message. So don't ignore these patterns when they emerge. Another pattern that often emerges in our life is in our external circumstances. You will see a lot of the times, say in relationships, people will get together with somebody, break up with them, and get together with somebody else who is the same person, just in a different body. You'll find they have the same characteristics. It's the same pattern. And so if you are experiencing similar repeating patterns in your life, there is something about your identity, there's something about you that is creating this. And so I say, if something happens to you once, it's just something that happened. If something happens to you twice, then it could just be a coincidence. But if something happens to you 3 times or more, that is a pattern that you are creating in your life. And often it is because we have repressed or rejected certain aspects of ourselves. And these aspects of ourselves will not be denied. And the longer you wait to address these things, the bigger and more scary the monster becomes when you finally are forced to look at it. Because this monster grows as you grow. It will be equal and opposite to your conscious identity. And again, your body will tell you when something is wrong, often by producing strong negative thoughts. And so don't ignore the thoughts, but seek to understand yourself. Understand how you came to be the person you currently believe yourself to be. How did this identity come into being? Why are you the way you are? Not in a judgmental way, but in a curious, seeking to understand kind of way. And you see, you will know when your body is in harmony, it is in equilibrium, because you will wake up in the morning excited to be alive. You will have peace, you will have happiness. The fact that people say life isn't meant to be happy, it's nonsense, because even though life is full of suffering, our happiness is generated from within, not from our external environment. So if you're not experiencing happiness, if you're not experiencing peace, that means there is something wrong with the identity that you have currently taken. So you have to look at your life and reflect on your experiences and your emotions and your thoughts and say, do I want this identity? Is it serving me? And this identity will be reflected in the story that is going on in your head about the world around you, about the people around you, about yourself. Is this story a tragedy? Do you want to be the main character in a tragic story? Or would you like to be the main character in a wonderful story, in a good story? And so if you don't like the story that you're in, then write a better one, because you are the author of your life. But so long as you remain distracted by the world, by remaining stuck in the thick of thin things, you will forget your true power. and somebody else will come and take that power, and you will be a background character in somebody else's movie, and that will not justify the suffering of this life. And so it really is this simple, and that is, you have to sit down and ask yourself, what is the life that you want to live? If you could have everything you've ever wanted, what would that be? And it doesn't matter how realistic or how impractical it is, because we don't create with our hands. We create with our energy, and we can focus our energy by what we give our attention to. The hands are the last stage in the creation process. First, creation begins by an image, by a vision, by a dream. Then, the next stage of creation is in the mind, what we choose to focus on, the direction that we are going. And once we have a vision, and once we can focus on a particular direction, then we act. Then we create with our hands. Then we do the necessary things that will bring this creation into manifestation. But if you are not focused and you do not have a vision, then you can work hard your whole life and still get nowhere. And so we must get clear on who we are, on our identity. Because once we know who we are, we can understand what we want. And then we can understand why we want these things. And as we begin focusing our attention on the things we want, and we have the why as the motivation to get these things, well then as we go along, we will discover the how. And the greatest thing about it is that you don't have to figure it out, because as you move, as you take action, as you head in a particular direction, the path is revealed before you. I heard a great example the other day. I was reading a book, I think I was reading The Secret, and they were talking about how if you're in a storm or if you're in a thick fog while you're driving, your headlights only allow you to see a few feet in front of you. And so you don't need to see the whole journey before you take action, before you go. You just need to see a few feet in front of you. And as you go, the road ahead will reveal itself. And so if you want this life of your dreams, if you want to live a good life, if you want to make the most of the gift that you've been given, then you must begin focusing your awareness on the things that really matter. Focus your awareness on yourself. Who am I? Where do I want to go? What do I want? And forget whatever life circumstances you are currently in. Because the more we give something our energy, the more we reinforce that reality. And if you are currently living in a life situation that is unfavorable to you, then there is no reason to continue to give that story your attention. Take your energy and attention away from the things you do not want to experience and focus them on the things that you do want to experience. Because if you continue to focus your attention on things that are negative, This is going to bring you down to lower states of being, and you will remain stuck so long as you choose to focus your attention on these things. And the moment you direct your attention to what is positive, you will begin rising to higher states of consciousness. And so the external circumstances of your life are nearly irrelevant, because you create your reality from within. But you see, it takes some time to break this habit of focusing and reacting on everything around you. If you have a negative situation that arises, the moment you get wrapped up in your emotions about it is the moment that it enslaves you. And that is why people get stuck and remain stuck in negative situations their whole life. It's because they never took the time to create some space between themselves and their environment. And so they spend their whole lives reacting, getting pulled by their emotions here and there, getting pulled by their thoughts in all these different directions that they don't want to go in. And so we must recognize that we have the power to escape any situation, no matter how bad or how harsh it is, because it is not the situation that creates the suffering. It is our relationship and the attitude that we have toward any given situation or experience. If there are 99 things going wrong in your life, focus on the one thing that is positive. That is something that I learned from Wes Watson, who was in prison. And in prison, you have everything going wrong. Everything is against you. But what is that one thing, that one positive thing? Is that you're still breathing. You're still alive. And if you can hold on to that one thing, that one positive thing, then no matter where you're at, you can rise to higher states of consciousness, to higher states of being. But you see, what most people do, what a lot of people do, is that they have 99 things going right for them, and they choose to focus on the one or two things that are going wrong. They focus on what they don't have, and so they live in this state of lack, and they wonder why their life is the way it is. They wonder why life is such a struggle, why there's so much suffering. Well, it's very clear to everybody else but you, because you choose to give your energy, this divine light within you, to that which is negative, and you waste it. You consciously choose to waste your energy, the most valuable resource in existence, and so your punishment is just. So begin valuing your energy. Be very careful what you choose to focus your attention on, and you will know what to focus your attention on by becoming clear on who you are. Who do you want to be? What is the life that you want to live? You can have everything, but you must also believe. You must believe in your power as a creator on this earth.